Will Harris leaving the Florida Gators for the rival Miami Hurricanes. It's not shocking, but it's embarrassing. And we'll talk about all that it means tonight on the In All Kinds of Weather Forecast. Welcome back to the In All Kinds of Weather Forecast. I am your host, Neil Schulman. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at All Kinds of Weather. Before we go any further, please like, subscribe, comment, tell your friends, give us a 5-star rating and a nice review on Apple Podcasts. Also got to shout out our sponsor. Of course, we are sponsored by 401k Generation, the wealth management company that helps you invest today for your future tomorrow. Their team of advisors is committed to providing guidance and education for your 401k plan and its participants, and they also offer a range of enrollment solutions tailored to meet the unique needs of your company's 401k plan. Whether it is savings for your child's college, investment advice, or even your retirement, 401k Generation's team of advisors makes getting to know you their top priority. Their advisors will tailor a path to assist you in navigating life financial milestones and reaching your financial goals. That's 401k Generation, building stronger futures, one generation at a time. For more information, contact them at 866-998-5879 or visit their website at 401kgeneration.com. There are some people in Gainesville, Florida, who might want to utilize the services of our friends at 401k Generation. Some people at the University of Florida football program may want to go ahead and check out that website, 401kgeneration.com, because if you believe the rumors, at least, there certainly do appear to be some people in Gainesville, Florida, that could benefit from a little financial advice right now. Specifically, what's a good investment? Will Harris certainly seemed like one. Will Harris, of course, the Gators' defensive backs coach in 2024. Florida and Will Harris were talking about a new contract. Billy Napier obviously thought enough of him to at least engage in these conversations. Could not get it done. Reports about Ron Roberts and Will Harris also not getting along were out there as well. But for whatever reason you want to attribute this to, whether Miami just dropped a bigger bag, or Florida didn't appreciate Will Harris enough, or Will Harris didn't like Ron Roberts, or Napier just chose Ron Roberts over Will Harris. At this point, it doesn't matter because he's not going to be here. Will Harris, that is, will not be at the University of Florida anymore. He will be going south to Coral Gables. Of course, Florida and Miami will play in week 4 of 2025 in late September in Hard Rock Stadium in, I believe it is Scott Lake, Florida, or Miami Gardens, or some municipality that Miami doesn't even own. But you know what? At this point, there's really not that much to make fun of Miami about because they have never won the ACC. They have scored 3 points all time in the ACC title game, which means that you, listening to this, and I, together, each have scored exactly 3 fewer points in the ACC title game than the Miami Hurricanes have. But in terms of head-to-head combat, Miami is just bitch-slapping Florida all across the state right now. And that is a very difficult reality for us Gators to have to wrap our heads around, but it is the reality. Miami slapped Florida around on the field, 41-17. Their fans aren't, and their coaches aren't going to let Florida forget about that. And now they're slapping Florida around off the field as well, taking the Florida Gators defensive backs coach. So how big of a loss is this? Well, it's not the end of the world, but it sucks. Let's explain. Will Harris brought in a pretty damn good defensive backs class. Lagonza Hayward, Ben Hanks, Hilton Stubbs, Onis Konabani. Those guys are pretty good. Now, yeah, some of them are legacies, and that absolutely did help Florida land them. But nonetheless, Will Harris recruited them, got them on board, signed them, and was going to be the one to develop them. And now you have to wonder, come spring portal season, do some of those guys look to transfer? Do you have a Hilton Stubbs who was once committed to Miami? Do you have a Ben Hanks who is from Miami? Do you have guys like that hit the portal and explore their options? Do you have them looking to see if they can maybe negotiate some kind of reunion with Will Harris down in South Florida? It's possible. I can't tell you that that won't happen. I can't sit here and tell you that Florida is certain to have those guys locked down. Even NIL contracts these days don't mean anything. You can still hit the portal and go wherever you damn well please. So those guys, I would have to say, are not guaranteed to be suiting up for Florida. And of course, no one is in the age of the portal, but I would say that they're probably a good bit less safe of a bet to be playing for Florida than some other guys on this roster. So we'll have to just wait and see, but that is a legitimate wait and see proposition, not just a, yeah, wait and see, whatever, probably not going to happen. No, it's a real possibility now that we have to keep our eyes on. And as a coach, Will Harris is pretty good. We saw this defensive backfield struggle mightily early in 2024. Massive improvements were seen from game 1 to game 13. Jason Marshall finally looked like the 5-star he was always billed as. Devin Moore was great when he was healthy. Tre'Quavion Bridges did a lot of good things. Dijon Johnson took steps from start to finish of the year. That secondary got a lot better from start to finish. And look, whether you want to call Will Harris a good recruiter or a decent recruiter who got lucky because he happened to be recruiting a bunch of legacy kids, or you want to say he's an elite recruiter because he got all those 4 and 5 stars on campus, mostly 4 stars on campus. Whatever, you can debate that, and that's fair. He's certainly not a bad recruiter. He certainly was a net positive for Florida in the recruiting department, and he was a very good coach. Now he's at a rival school. I shouldn't have to be talking about this. I mean, this is just embarrassing for Florida. And look, it's not just because Will Harris left Florida for Miami. It's because Will Harris leaving Florida for Miami continues, frankly, a humiliating pattern of Florida just hemorrhaging some very, very valuable pieces of their operation because they're just not serious. Trevor Etienne to Georgia. Craig Fitzgerald, the strength coach, leaving for Boston College after a month. Joe Hamilton leaving for Texas A&M. Now, yes, he did come back. He never should have left in the first place. Not even talking about coaches moving upward in the coaching world, like Kerry Colbert going to the NFL, or Jay Bateman going from the linebackers coach at Florida to the defensive coordinator at Texas A&M. Well, although I will say, with the way Napier is just handing out co-defensive coordinator tags like they're COVID vaccines in 2020, I feel like if he wanted Bateman to stay at Florida badly enough, he would have kept him. But that's beside the point. Look, in today's world, with NIL, with money being thrown around the college game left and right, yeah, you're going to lose guys. You're going to lose good pieces to your operation, not just guys who are sour because they're not playing or because they want to raise despite having done nothing to merit them. You're going to lose valuable pieces here and there. Serious programs will not have all of those things happen. You will not lose your number one running back, or at least your most explosive running back, and your strength coach, and your key off-field recruiter, and one of your better position coaches. You will not lose all 4 of those pieces. You might lose one. Sure. Yeah, guys chase bags. Players do now too. That happens. That's the way of the world. Not all 4 of those pieces. No, that just doesn't happen. I shouldn't be talking about this. Like I said, there's no world in which this is not an embarrassing discussion that has to be had among Gator fans. Like, this program just cannot do anything to maintain positive momentum. They cannot sustain and build on positive momentum for their lives. They just cannot build on things when they go right. Something always has to be a setback. There always has to be a relapse. There's always a catch. There's always a bit of cold water splashed on you when you're hot. There's just always got to be a catch. Whether it's Napier refusing to hire an offensive coordinator at every turn, which, by the way, fun fact, Will Harris leaving gives Billy Napier yet another staff opening, which means yet another opportunity for him to purposely decline the opportunity to hire an offensive coordinator, because of course he's not. right? Billy does a lot of things well for Florida, which is the really frustrating thing. He just can't put the pieces together to get a serious football program. He's got pieces of it. He's got the elite quarterback. I think he's got a great offensive line now. I think we're finally starting to see the fruits of those two offensive line coaches that we've had for 3 years, even though one of them has changed, Jonathan DeCoster now. We're finally starting to see that pay off. I think we have great receivers at Florida and a great receivers coach. You just can't put those final pieces together to finish the puzzle of a serious football program. Serious programs don't have this. They don't have all these things happen. I mean, really, I'm recording this at about 10:50 p.m. after a long day on Thursday. Why did I work a really long day Thursday? Why am I just getting off work? Well, because I have to get up early tomorrow morning to make a 4.5, 4:45, maybe 5-ish hour drive down to Gainesville so I can watch Gator softball in the Bubbly Invitational against Binghamton, Boston College, and Duke. The Gator baseball series against Air Force, the season opener. Going to see Liam Peterson. Excited to see him start in his sophomore year for Florida. Showed a lot of promise for the Gators, but also a lot of not so great things. I'm excited to see how he takes a step forward in his second year with the way Sully develops those arms. Excited to see Blake Sear for the Gator baseball program. Going back to softball, you got Taylor Shoemaker, who's already hit 7 homers in 9 games. And just for perspective on that, the Gator softball all-time home run leader for a career is Lauren Hager with 71. And this girl, Taylor Shoemaker, is already 10% of the way there through 9 games. Like, I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see Kenley Cahalan, the Alabama transfer for the softball team. And of course, Gator basketball capping off a long day of going back and forth campus to see softball and then baseball and then going to see Gator basketball, one of the best teams in the country this year, take on South Carolina, who I have a personal disdain for, Spurs down, all that good stuff. Looking forward to a great weekend full of lots of Gator fun with Gator programs that I know are in good positions because we can trust that the head coaches responsible for those programs will generally do the best thing possible. We can generally sleep well at night knowing that Todd Golden, Kevin O'Sullivan, and Tim Walton are always, or at the very least, the overwhelming majority of the time, going to pull the right levers to best situate their teams for success. And as I was going to be watching those sporting events, the softball doubleheader on Saturday, and I think that there's a game tomorrow afternoon or Friday afternoon, the baseball Friday night, 2 softball games Saturday, the baseball Saturday night, the basketball late Saturday night, and then the baseball or softball. I still haven't decided what I'll do for a finale on Sunday, but one of those stickball events. As I'm watching them, I thought, all right, Gator football is in a good spot. I really wish Billy Napier would hire an offensive coordinator, but okay, look, the defense has a lot of guys back. You got an elite quarterback, an elite offensive line. You got great receivers. You can trust the running backs are going to be good with Jabbar Jalouk. I don't have to worry about something going wrong while I'm down here. No, of course that's not the case because Billy Napier just can't maintain any success. He can't. Even when he wins 4 games in a row. I mean, we saw this all the way back in his opener against Utah. On top of the world. Gators just knock off a top 10 opponent. Very next week, lose to Kentucky, and the misery begins. Here we are, starting year 4 for Billy Napier. You win 4 games in a row. You beat LSU. You beat Ole Miss. You conquer the Knowles. Tomahawk chop. Flag plant. Cut the head off. Tyreek Sapp dancing around with that Native American head that I had ordered and overnighted from freaking Quebec just so he could parade around the field at Ron Zook Field with it like a trophy. And then we beat Tulane to cap off the season. Great. 8-5. Okay, not how I drew it up, but I did say 7-5 was what I needed to see from Billy Napier. I got it. Doesn't matter how you got there. Check the box. We're good. Recruiting class, great. You get Onis Konabani at the end of it. Awesome. Top 10 class. Now you're number 7, according to the 247 Sports composite. Things are good. They're not elite. We can't just set it and forget it like we can with the other Gator sports that are doing their jobs. But you think, all right, things are going well for Florida right now, and on the football program side of things, just can't sustain it. And look, I know this is bleak. I know, and all kinds of weather is coming in with more clouds and rain and lightning. I get it. I get it. Here's what I'll say. At the end of the day, Will Harris's departure ultimately changes nothing. What do I mean by that? Well, the goal for Florida is to be a CFP contender in 2025. Either they'll do it or they won't. And frankly, it doesn't matter if Billy Napier goes out and he hires Steve Spagnuolo, which is obviously impossible, or a sentient pack of Skittles, which is also impossible, to coach the defensive backs of Florida. You could have Kirby Smart to Nick Saban to a freaking blade of grass coaching the Gator secondary, and the goal remains the goal. Florida needs to be a CFP contender team. The point in which how it happens, how it looks, well out the window. That is so far in the rearview mirror at this point. All that matters are wins. Gators got to win games. It's just that simple. The goal doesn't change. This is very, very irritating, but it doesn't change the goal and it doesn't change the standard at Florida. I do think now Billy Napier has a harder road to reach that CFP benchmark. It doesn't change what the benchmark is. So again, he'll either hit it or he won't. And if he doesn't, goodbye. That's a bleak way to end the show, isn't it? But it's late and I got to drive tomorrow. So, y'all, sorry this was so bleak, but we had to talk about something that just wasn't fun. That, there's no other way to discuss it. It happened. We addressed it. We'll move on. I hope Billy Napier does make a good hire here. I hope that the defensive backfield for Florida does its job in 2025. I really hope we don't lose any of those guys that Will Harris got in this past recruiting class to the Miami Hurricanes, who we're going to have to face in week 4. But at this point, again, it's out of our control. And if Napier fails and he's fired, despite being given all the resources one could have possibly dreamed of, he has no one to blame but himself. And the sympathy for him is gone. And like I said in the last show, that works the other way too. If Napier succeeds and he wins games with himself calling the plays at that, he'll be a hero because he bet on himself when nobody else did, and he stuck to his guns and did what he believed in. Story's out of our hands now. I think that the ending to this story is now a few units of measurement more likely to end in a negative fashion because of the loss of Will Harris, but it's still yet to be written. It's still fixable, still correctable. Hoping against hope that Billy Napier can do it, and I'm not saying he can't. The last 4 games of the year were great. I think Will Harris as a coach, as an X's and O's coach, has something to do with that, but we'll just have to see what happens. Until then, y'all, and all kinds of weather forecast, signing off. Can't even get my outro right because it is after 11 at night and I'm exhausted after a 14-hour day. But you know what? In all kinds of weather, we'll all stick together for FLORIDA. Please like and subscribe. Give us a 5-star rating and a nice review on Apple Podcasts. All that good stuff. It helps us bring y'all more great content. I hope to see some of you in Gainesville this weekend. Hopefully the non-football sports, the so-called round ball sports, can give us a bit of a respite from the calamity that just happened off the field with Gator football.